Hi everyone, welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. Another opposition preview this week, and it's the turn of Fulham. Happy to have Jack back on the channel. We had you last season, didn't we, Jack? Thanks for coming back on.
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember whether that was the home game. I think it might have been the game at Goodison Park, actually, the last minute equaliser from, I believe, Beto.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? And then we got a win at Craven Cottage last season,
Yes.
towards the end of the season, didn't we? But Fulham, 15th in the table, won 3, drawn 2, lost 5. Is that a bit of a disappointment given last season's sort of success?
On paper, like you could look at it that way, but I think that if you look at all the fixtures individually, what we've had this season, it is probably about right where we are in terms of what you'd expect from those fixtures. I think within those games, the 4 defeats in a row against Bournemouth, Villa, Bournemouth, Arsenal, Newcastle, we were in all 4 of those games. We probably could have got results from probably all 4. We led against both Villa and Bournemouth. We lost 3-1. Especially the Bournemouth game, we led so late on as well. We lost by just a goal to nil to Arsenal from, of course, a set-piece goal, and then the Newcastle game losing in the final stage of the game when really we should have seen that game out for a draw. So I think we could be and probably should be on more points. We've had some very weird VAR decisions that go against this season as well. But the win on Saturday against Wolves has very much calmed down the place a little bit. But this is a big game against Everton because West Ham winning means they're sort of 4 points behind us as well. And I watched the game on Monday night between Sunderland and Everton, and Everton are a very, very good team. They're very much improved. I don't think they're the finished article, but they've definitely got a lot of potential under David Moyes.
No, it's a tough one to talk about at the moment because we're just missing a lot of opportunities to win games, I think. But tell us a bit about the transfer business this summer. Just remind us of who signed and who left.
Yeah, it's been a bit non-existent for Fulham this summer. It was a very frustrating summer. We brought in a backup goalkeeper called Benjamin Lecomte, who's played a couple of cup games and was the cup hero against Wickham last week, which was brilliant. We brought in 3 signings on deadline day. Samuel Chukwueze on loan from AC Milan, who's done very, very well when he's been on the pitch, but he's been out injured for the last few weeks. But he came on at the weekend, hit the crossbar, and also forced Johnston to a save. Yona Kusiasari, on loan from Bayern Munich, hasn't played a minute of Premier League football yet, but has played 10 or so minutes in the Carabao Cup last week, missed a penalty in the shootout. He's only a young kid, 18 years old. And then the record signing Kevin, who has been brilliant in fits and starts, has only made 1 Premier League start so far against Wolves, but he's getting to know the squad a little bit better, the system a little bit better, and I think we'll see the best from him very, very soon. I expect him to play on Saturday, at least start. So he's one to look out for sure. But the business has been, not great. I think Fulham are definitely lacking a midfielder. We lost Andreas Pereira, which I thought was the right decision at the time, but we didn't replace him in time. And I think in January, that's something we have to look at because our midfield, albeit is very good, is probably lacking a body for sure.
Tell us a bit about Marco Silva. What's the Fulham feeling around him? Obviously, he's an ex-Everton manager.
Yeah, of course. Look, he's out of contract this summer, which is a big worry. He's been here for 5 seasons now. 1 promotion season winning the title, 4 Premier League seasons. This is the 4th now, but 3 that we very, very much stabilised in the Premier League. We finished in the top half in the first season, dropped off a bit in the second, but still had a really positive season. We beat you guys in the Carabao Cup quarterfinals to get to the semis against Liverpool. And then last season, we were pushing for Europe and fell away at the end because we just had some really poor, inconsistent performance at the end of the season, including that defeat to Everton. But within all those seasons, including this one, we've got to at least a cup quarter final, which is very good, very progressive in the cups. We need to go that one better now and try and get to a Wembley semi-final or final, which would be the cherry on top. I don't really know what's going to happen with Marco Silva at the moment. It's very much a case of he's out of contract. He was very heavily linked with the Nottingham Forest job before Sean Dyche got the job. He's been linked with loads of jobs since being at Fulham and has turned basically all of them down anyway, so including Saudi Arabia. Do I think he stays at this moment in time? I couldn't really tell you. It's really tricky to say. I'd like to think he would sign a new deal, but he needs to be promised that he will get much more investment and backing in the next January window, in the summer window this summer as well. So we will see. I really don't want it to be the end of the reign. I think it's been a fantastic tenure. and we are going well. We were going from strength to strength. There is a feeling that maybe we have we've gone as far as Silva could possibly take us. I don't believe that for a second. I still think there's opportunities to like I say, win a cup or get to a Carabao Cup final, FA Cup semi-final, final. Could we still push for Europe this season if results improve? It's very much still open. So we will see as the season carries on. But at this moment in time, hopefully he stays. But it's still on the table. The contract's still on the table, and it hasn't been signed yet.
So yeah, mentioned a bit before. Everton are being been a funny club over the last few years, and the start of the season was pretty good. The fans are starting to get a little bit frustrated with David Moyes and his the in-game management and the man management. But what's the feeling from the outside looking in towards Everton?
You talk about the chances. I mean, I watched them on Monday night, and there was that counter-attacking opportunity that I think Alcaraz had on the break, and he just did not take advantage of it at all. It was like a 3-on-2 at one stage, I believe. And I thought Everton started really, really well at the Stadium of Light. They hit the post for Grealish. They scored, of course. Great goal from Njai. They probably should have scored, or nearly scored after 12 seconds or so through Garner. I think it's probably worth saying that I think Everton have a much more settled back four right now. They were playing a lot of players out of position at the beginning of the season, but Tarkowski, Keane, Mikolenko, O'Brien, very, very settled. Obviously, Pickford's been a mainstay in goal. The attacking four, or at least the three behind the striker, whether it be Barry, whether it be Beto, for me, are what's the most dangerous thing about this Everton side. I mean, you've got Ndiaye on one side, you've got Grealish on the other, Dewsbury Hall down the middle, and then the option of Alcaraz as well. And I think that's incredibly potent. That's not even mentioning Tyler Dibbling, who I haven't even seen much of this season as well, from my side of things. But Everton felt like in the summer they really progressed in terms of going from a team that was battling down near the bottom of the table to now looking upwards. And actually, at beginning of the season, I was thinking Everton are going to, I think especially when you beat Wolves and you've got a couple of back-to-back wins, I was thinking they're going to be onto something this season. And then they've slightly dropped off a bit. And then the defeat to Spurs, obviously, the first defeat at home is always disappointing. But in that game, of course, they scored a goal, and I think it was disallowed quite harshly. And Van de Ven then goes on to score a couple of goals, etc. And I think Everton just need a little bit of a boost at the moment. So obviously, Stadium of Light was really, really difficult to go to. I think they managed the first half really, really well. But once Xhaka scored, it was almost one-way traffic for a lot of the time for Sunderland trying to get back into the game or trying to go on to win the game. Everton got their chance on the break. Like I say, they didn't take them. But there's always individual quality. And that's what I'm really fearing about this game against Fulham, is that the individual quality of, especially Ndiaye, I know he went off injured, but I think it looks okay, and Grealish on the left-hand side, those players can change games. And we have game changers in our team as well. Individual quality is going to really be a key factor of this game on Saturday. And I'm just hoping that those front players, like I spoke about, have an off day, because they are brilliant on their day. We were linked with Dewsbury Hall in the summer. I thought that would have been a really smart signing, but it was Everton that got there. And it's one maybe Barry needs to get a goal as well. I feel like the Everton fans are waiting for that Barry goal as well.
I mean, the midfield going forward has played pretty well. Dewsbury Hall and Dye's been standout play, one of the standout players in the Premier League. Never mind Everton. If you're going to make a team of the season so far, I think he'd walk into it. Grealish has been okay as well, but I think the frustration, Jack, is you mentioned the back four there. Jake O'Brien isn't a right back. He's played okay there, but he's not a right back. There's been times this season where James Garner has gone to right back, and the team is so much better going forward because Garner's a better crosser of the ball. He'll overlap, and there's the likes of Merlin Rollers came in on loan who we want to see more of, and then the other night, and Dye comes off injured. You think it's prime opportunity for Tyler Dibbling to come on, and instead Dwight McNeil comes on. So there's definitely questions being asked about the manager and his in-game management at the moment. His ability to throw caution to the wind is just it's non-evident at the moment. And there's definitely a starting lineup that Evertonians want to see. They want to see Merlin Roll in there instead of Jake O'Brien and James Garner moving to right back with Roll in midfield. It doesn't help that Jared Brantwaite's been out injured all season. Michael Keane's come in and played incredibly well, and he's really changed the impression that Evertonians have of him, that he's come in and played so well. But he's come in and played well, and James Tarkowski has come in and has just had a stinker of a season, really. He just always looks like he's got a mistake in him. And I think his unwillingness to play someone else there instead of James Tarkowski is really telling. He signed Adam Asnou from Bayern Munich, and he still hasn't had a Premier League minute at left back. So it's very much a case of being so reserved and unable to make a change when it's needed. Beto and Barry have been shocking, absolutely shockingly bad, both of them. It's almost as if we're playing with no number 9 most of the time. So really, in January, we need to start looking at bringing in a known Premier League striker. There's been talks of even Tony and Gabriel Jesus, but we'll see what comes of that. But we 100% need a striker. As it would stand at the moment, I think the best option for Everton would be to move and die into the number 9 spot, to put Diblin out on the right, roll in midfield, and Garner at right back. But of course, I'm not a Premier League manager. But what's your sort of likely lineup for Fulham on the weekend?
Yeah, it's really interesting because last week we went with a lineup that I thought on paper was quite attacking. I put that question to Marco Silva after the game. He didn't quite agree, but he sort of understood where I was coming from, where we played Alex Iwobi in midfield alongside Sander Berge. So Berge would sort of sit, Iwobi play as the number 8, and then Josh King as the number 10. We started Kevin out on the left, Wilson out on the right, and then up front, Raul Jimenez. And this is great because Fulham have had so many injuries. We've had 5-6 first-team players out injured. Anthony Robinson's still out injured. He won't play any part on Saturday. But what we did have was options off the bench, like Samuel Chukwueze, Rodrigo Muniz, Sasha Lukic, Emil Smith-Rowe. And suddenly you look at the squad and you look at the starting 11, you're thinking this is looking much better. I'm expecting Fulham to probably... I mean, I was thinking unchanged from the team that played Wolves, but I think Rodrigo Muniz might start, give Raul a bit of a break because Raul's played a lot of football over the last few weeks. There is an option to play Chukwueze out on the right, but I think Harry Wilson probably deserves to keep his place after his goal on Saturday. I think Kevin, if you have that pace of Kevin on the left and Wilson on the right, who's not blessed with amazing pace, but his ability to get forward and create chances is brilliant. I think I would probably make one change to that team. I think there could be a possibility that we see Iwobi come out for Sasha Lukic, but I think if that happens, Iwobi definitely plays, which means he'll go on the left and then Kevin will come out, which again, I think would be harsh. So I would go with Leno in goal at the back. Of course, we haven't really spoke about Kenny Tete, who obviously was going to go to Everton and then obviously stayed at Fulham. So Tete right back with Anderson and Bassi. Left back would be Ryan Sessegnon. Berge, Iwobi, King as the midfield, and then left, Kevin, right, Wilson, and for me up top, Rodrigo Muniz.
Yeah, where do you think the game's sort of going to be won and lost with player-wise? Because, I mean, at the moment, Everton's real strength are in midfield. Where's sort of the big strengths and the key players for Fulham?
I think that what's evident is that Fulham need a focal point and need to play off that focal point. So whether it be Raul, whether it be Rodrigo, we've got to play balls up to them. They hold up the ball, bring others into play. And then, of course, we love to attack down the flanks, using our wide players, using our overlapping fullbacks, Tete on one side, Sessegnon on the other, to create opportunities and overloads. And suddenly those triangles down the left-hand side with Sessegnon, Kevin, and then Iwobi or King come short to receive the ball, and then nice little triangles there to create opportunities, put balls into the box. I think the midfield battle is going to be really interesting because I think there was a good balance to Fulham's midfield on Saturday with Iwobi. Not only on the ball, but his off-the-ball contributions were fantastic as well. I think Josh King is a player who everyone's sort of talking about at the moment. He's had a very strange season where he's burst onto the scene. We all know, Fulham fans all knew the quality he has, but he's had VAR decisions go against him. He's been booked for diving 2 weeks in a row against Brentford and Villa, and I thought at least one of them was harsh. But he did get the red card go his way on Saturday when he was brought down, and Wolves were brought down to Wolves were down to 10 men. I think in the midfield it's going to be interesting. Will we get Sasha Lukic back in the team, or will Iwobi keep his place where there's a bit more creativity within that number 8 space to link up with King, to link up with the wide players, and have Berger as more of a sitter. I think, up against whether it be Idris Gana, Gay, Garner, whoever plays in the midfield, Dewsbury Hall is a little bit more attacking. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how we deal with that. And then we're obviously going to try and counter-attack them. And this is the thing, Fulham always play to win, whether they play against Manchester City, whether they play against Wolves. They're always playing to win a game. So there's going to be times where the game feels open. Everton are going to try and win the game being at home and taking the game to Fulham, and then Fulham are going to try and counter, and it's going to make it for a bit of a basketball game at times. And I think that was our detriment at Newcastle when it was 1-1 going into 90 minutes. I thought, good point, let's hold on to this. But no, we made a mistake trying to play out, and Newcastle got the winner. And that's something that Everton could take advantage of with their high press if they want to press as high. Fulham have got to be careful. They've got to be more conservative at times. But I think Fulham are going to really be up for this after the win on Saturday. I think there's a feel around the place that Fulham could look upwards as opposed to over their shoulders in the Premier League table. So I'm expecting a good game, and I'm expecting goals.
And just finally, score prediction, how do you see it going?
Yeah, I mean, I did a show with Fulhamish earlier this week, and we gave our predictions, and we both went for Fulham wins. And I think that's just off the back of feeling a bit more confident that we've got a win under our belts after 4 defeats in a row. I went with 2-1. I think Fulham will win this by 2-1. I think there's definitely opportunities for both sides. I just think that Fulham, with the attacking qualities they've got, with Muniz maybe coming back, with Kevin, who's starting to look more and more positive, I think that there's a real chance for Fulham to go on a bit of a run. And I think it may continue here against Everton, albeit I think Everton are a very good team, and I think they will survive this season quite comfortably, and hopefully push on towards those European places, because with the new stadium, with David Moyes in charge, with the players that they've got, the personnel they've got, it does seem as if they are heading in the right direction, despite maybe fans thinking that they want Moyes to change personnel or teams or tactics, etc., etc. But I'm going to go with Fulham to win this by 2-1.
Yeah, brilliant. And Jack, just tell everyone where they can find you.
Yep. So at Jackelly FFC, JACKELLY FFC. I'm a journalist covering the club home and away, under 21s, etc., etc. So follow the press conference on tomorrow at 3:00 for team news. If Everton fans want to see what kind of lineup Fulham will go with, plus if you're an FPL fan as well, a lot of my followers are a lot of FPL people who like to know who to pick in their team for the weekend. And then you can find me on the Fulhamish podcast as well sometimes as well. So that's where to find me.
Amazing. Make sure you go and drop Jack a follow. Get your score predictions in the comment section down below. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Toffee Blues, and I'll see you in the next one.